Hi there, this is Jeff Johnson, creator of WeatherMaker. I'd just like to show you how to bring WeatherMaker into a brand new scene using your own player object. And so let's get started and show you everything you need to do. First thing to do is get WeatherMaker from the asset store. Second is open up a blank scene. You've got main camera and directional light. Let's bring in WeatherMaker Prefab. This is kind of the pre-built thing of scripts and components that allows you to use WeatherMaker. For advanced users, you can put these scripts together however you want, but for most people, just dragging the prefab will be good enough. The next thing is if you want this configuration canvas, I've made a WeatherMaker configuration canvas prefab that brings a bunch of stuff over here and a panel on the left. Allows you to tweak a few settings just to make sure everything's working right. For your final version of your game, you'll want to probably just delete the WeatherMaker configuration canvas prefab, but it sure is nice for ad hoc testing. So the next thing is to go over to the lighting tab. There's a few things that we need to change here. The skybox material should be WeatherMaker skybox material. The sunlight should be under WeatherMaker prefab day-night cycle sun. While you're at it, go ahead and delete that default directional light. We don't want two suns in our game. And it's not supported yet anyway, maybe someday. So the next thing to do is leave environment lighting. That's managed by the day-night cycle profile. You can go there quickly and you see these ambient settings. Day, dawn, dusk, and night. That's how you're going to control this environment lighting, and it will set the colors the way you want. Environment reflections, I like to turn these off and do cube map, but if you want to reflect the Unity skybox, you're welcome to do that. If you've got a dynamic day-night cycle, you're going to have the sun position changing, then mixed lighting is not a whole lot of use to you, so I would turn that off. Leave real-time lighting on though, and then finally make sure fog is off and that auto-generate light is off if you're doing the dynamic day-night cycle. You don't want to be waiting for baked lighting. Okay, let's go back to the inspector. We've got the WeatherMaker prefab in our scene. We've got the WeatherMaker configuration canvas. We just need to set up our main camera to act as a player. And now in almost any player controller, what you're going to do is create a root object called player. Your main camera is going to go inside of that object, underneath, so it's basically becoming the eyes of that player. In fact, I like to rename it to say eyes so that you understand that that's how the player sees. Typically, you would do about 1.5 meters above player, depending on how tall that player is. So now that we've got a player object, let's tag it as player. And let's make sure the eyes with the camera are tagged as main camera. We're almost done here, but we need to add a rigid body that's kinematic. Otherwise, Unity has trouble with collider to collider events. And we need to add a sphere collider with trigger, make the radius pretty small. And the reason we've done this is so that we can interact with WeatherMaker zones, water, etc. and get the trigger events called in all of the WeatherMaker scripts properly. Without the rigid body kinematic and the sphere collider trigger, Unity will not call back the scripts. Okay, so we've got a player and we've got the camera. You'll notice a flashlight option here. Feel free to add that. We could add a flashlight. Great if you've got a nighttime scene going on. Typically I'll range that up to like 100. You could offset it maybe a little bit, and now you have a flashlight. So one thing we're missing is we need some ground to actually see something moving around. So while we're at it, we'll just make a plane. Let's make it a bit bigger and reset the transform. Okay. I've also got some built-in grass material you can use that looks a little nicer. And finally, you'll want to go to the player eyes main camera in this case. And you'll notice that we've got a clear flag of skybox. Let's make sure that's solid color. We don't want it stomping on top of the WeatherMaker sky sphere, which is under right there. Finally, set that background to all zeros. And I'd probably go ahead and set the far plane to 2000 or more. And then of course deferred rendering always looks much better. And I think that was everything. So let's go ahead and recap everything we did here. We have a player object tagged as player. Underneath that is the eyes, which are the main camera. Solid color black, deferred rendering, far plane of 2000. We added a kinematic rigid body. We added a sphere collider of trigger type. We brought in WeatherMaker prefab and WeatherMaker configuration canvas prefab, both unaltered. Finally, we brought in a plane to act as our ground. One final thing you'll need to do is if you're using this configuration panel, you'll want to add a player controller script. Now this could be your first or third person controller, or WeatherMaker has a built-in player controller script. You're welcome to use that. You can drag in the flashlight and you can change your move speed. So let's go ahead and click run and see all this in action. Now the letter M will turn on the mouse look, and now you can see with my mouse I'm able to scan around the scene. My flashlight is also on, and that's because I didn't deactivate the flashlight. So go ahead and deactivate that light, and now click run again, and that flashlight won't be on. However, you can tap F to turn that on. Okay, let's add some weather effects. Let's turn on some rain. Simply click the checkbox. We can add clouds. We can turn on fog. We can create lightning strikes. These are a little loud, so if you're wearing headphones, you may want to take those off or turn down your volume. But you can call a bunch of lightning. You can turn on collisions and rain. So if I turn on rain collisions, you'll see we're getting little rain splashes everywhere. And we've also got the rain puddles. The rain puddles show up even without collisions on. They're essentially a free texture that just renders. Right, so I'm going to turn all this off, get rid of the clouds. And the last thing I'm going to do is show you automatic weather. When you click Manager here, all it does is activate this global weather zone. So when this global weather zone is activated, you'll get this profile group. And that's the whole reason we had to add the sphere collider to the main camera, because WeatherMaker's looking for any camera with a sphere collider and an audio listener. When you have all these three things, audio listener, sphere collider, and camera, that's you telling WeatherMaker this is a player object. So let's go ahead and click Manager. You'll notice that we got switched to profile clear, which is exactly what we already have. So let's undo that and perhaps reactivate. Nope, it remembered, so it's going to take a few seconds. But if we sit here long enough, it will switch to a new weather profile. That's pretty much it, actually. We're going to switch to storm now, so you get to watch a storm come in quickly. Turn off that flashlight. So the weather profiles are covered in another tutorial. So we're just going to go ahead and stop this scene now. So this is the basic setup scene. I've gone kind of slow just to make sure I covered every single basis. If you have any questions, email me, support@digitalruby.com. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And you can also visit the Discord channel or the Unity forums. Those are also great options for communicating. Thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.